The homeless, the unsheltered, the unhoused, the seeming unwanted, to many, the untouchable and the despised. But tell me absolutely that you know for sure that you or someone that you know will never be homeless. If you can say that with any degree of certainty, then I applaud your stability and your wealth. Then there is the half homeless. Basically, what I want to know really is how did you get started doing this?
Well, in 2001, I was the CEO of a major .com, and when the .com bust happened, we lost everything. I was fully invested in it, and I went from a net worth of about $30 million to being on welfare and clinically depressed in 2 years. When it finally came down to when we lost the big mansion on the hill and the Rolls Royce and all of that, and we bought a little house in a little modest neighborhood, and when we finally were faced with losing that, we happened to have the bus still. And we said, well, let's take a trip in the bus and think about it and decide what we're going to do. And these boys were still little. They were 7 or 8 years old. And we went for a couple months in the bus, and we came back and we said, we don't really want to live in that house anymore. We don't really want to be there. It's too hard. And so we just started living in the bus. And it was really hard, and I really worried a lot about what it was going to do to them and how it was going to come out and how they were going to go to school and all of those things, because we couldn't stay in one place. Every time we tried to stay someplace, people would be running us out. We couldn't afford campgrounds. We couldn't afford any place to park permanently. So in the end, we met some people that were living in their vehicle and had raised their kids with homeschooling, and they encouraged us to do it. So I started homeschooling them, and we started traveling, and eventually we found the safe parking program in Santa Barbara.
Tell me about the safe parking program.
It's a really neat thing they have in Santa Barbara. It happened because Santa Barbara is an extremely wealthy community. It's one of the most wealthy, expensive places in California. The average home price there is $1.2 million. And so they tried to basically run all of the people that were living on the street in their vehicles out of town, and they put some real prohibitive laws, and the police were very draconian. And the result was that the people that were on the street got together and formed a group and had a lawsuit and sued the city, and they won. And the upshot of the lawsuit was that they had to make provision for them. And out of that came a thing called the Safe Parking Program, which essentially is just the neatest thing. They take parking lots like this that aren't used at night, and they give people a permit to stay there. You have to register. They do a little background check on you. You have to have, the only things that are required are driver's license, insurance, and registration, and that you're not wanted or anything like that. And then they give you a permit for a month to stay in the parking lot, and it's free. And they give you another permit in the next month if you need it. And they only put 4 to 8 different groups in the people in the lot, in any given lot. So there's a little community that forms in each lot. Everybody shows up there at night. You're allowed to be there from 7 in the evening until 7 in the morning, because there's going to be regular people who use the lot during the day. And it creates this little place where they can, first of all, have a reliable place to go at night and be safe and not harassed by the police, and a little community that helps
each other,
helps reach out to each other. And they do outreach to connect you to social services and different things that are available. And we are involved to help bring around food from the food banks and different things like that. And it was such a great thing to give us a permanent base to stay that we decided that we wanted to help expand that, because it only existed in Santa Barbara. And so for 4 or 5 years we helped just trying to convince people, and we were in all kinds of media. We've been on so many different TV programs and foreign news and things but it still wasn't going anywhere. It was basically, everybody thought it's a great idea, but not in my backyard.
Right, I know.
So eventually, 2 years ago, last year actually, Thomas wanted to ride across the country and do Iron Kid triathlons. And we decided that we would do that as a charity ride and promote the safe parking program and try to raise awareness and get safe parking programs put all over the country. And we went from city to city, and we would get the news, and we'd talk to the mayors and the city councils, and we'd get all kinds of, oh, you're a great kid, it's a great idea. And as soon as we left town, it stopped again. So we got to Florida, which was supposed to be the end of his ride last year, And we sat there and we thought about it, and we went, well, we've raised a lot of awareness, but we haven't accomplished very much. What we need is a national program. We need a law. We need something that says, this needs to happen. So he rode another 1,000 miles from Florida up to D.C. and started lobbying Congress.
How many Congress people has he talked with?
He's personally met with 7 senators and probably about 15 representatives.
Are they really compassionate about what you want to do?
They are. It's been remarkable. He's had incredible success and very bipartisan.
Really?
Some of the biggest supporters are Lindsey Graham and people in the senior Republican leadership. John McCain he met with and was very supportive. And Joe Lieberman, and he's met with a lot of those people. But the thing that we were told was we wanted to have a law that said if you have these kind of restrictive camping laws, you must have a safe parking program. And they came back to us and said, that will never happen.
Wow.
That's called an unfunded mandate. You're requiring the cities to do something that they're not going to like, and it will never happen. But what you can do instead is come up with a carrot instead of a stick. And Senator Boxer was the one that suggested, let's see if we can't set up some grant programs to encourage cities to do this.
Senator Barbara Boxer.
Yeah. So that's where...
What's the difference between the homeless and the half-homeless? The half-homeless are fortunate enough to have a car, truck, van, bus, or RV that they can live in. By day, the half-homeless use their cars as transportation to jobs or to look for work, as they try to get a more permanent roof over their heads. By night, they typically have to find a place hidden from the police to park and sleep. Typically, the half-homeless don't think of themselves as homeless. They don't ask for or know there should be help. It is a desperate, lonely struggle to survive and to be independent. Imagine such a lifestyle for a family of 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6.
They can go to our national website is the safeparking.us, and that's we have information there on how you can help start a safe parking program in your city, and we've got some people that can help do that, and they can donate online to help further the cause.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Jessop.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So again, your name again?
My name is Thomas Lynn Jessop III.
Thomas Lynn Jessop III. And why are you doing this?
Well, I'm doing this as a charity ride to help people who've lost their homes and are temporarily living in their cars. It's for a charity called the Safe Parking Program, which has existed in Santa Barbara for 6 years. And we're trying to grow it because about a fifth of the people going through the foreclosure crisis are becoming half homeless. Half homeless is a term that was coined by a PBS special on the Santa Barbara program.
Yeah, I saw that program, and it was amazing. What impressed me with the little babies and children, So what inspired you personally to do this?
What inspired me personally to do it was, it happened to my family. My dad was a .com CEO in the early 2000s, just before the crash, and when the entire .com market went down, and he went from a net worth of $30 million personally to on welfare in a year.
Wow. And do you think you're making a difference?
Yes, we are making a difference. We are getting attention for these people who are just trying to hide and survive. We're really getting some sounds of action now. We're starting to get some motion. But it really is a big issue, and we're actually planning on doing this ride again and probably again after that, because action does take time. I've personally gotten to meet with 7 senators and 2 representatives about this cause, trying to get their support. And really the goal of the second ride and our DC efforts was we're trying to reallocate some already appropriated HUD funds out of the $1.9 billion that are given to HUD every year. None of it goes to helping people who are in their cars, and I've spoke with the Deputy Director of HUD, Robin S. Razor, and we actually had a meeting, and she said that there's not even a count for people who are living in their cars. And we believe if we just slice off $2 million out of that $1.9 billion, we can have 200 safe parking programs like Santa Barbara's all across the entire country.
I gotta tell you, you may be 15 years old, but I really admire what you're doing. And you're from the Youth of Unity in Santa Barbara, you said?
Yes, I'm a wire-ewer of Unity of Santa Barbara.
Wow. They ought to be proud of you. Okay, I know you're busy, but one more question, okay?
Okay.
When you talk about survive and hide, what does that mean, really?
Well, in almost every city, there's laws against sleeping in your car overnight on the street. And people get ticketed, they go into bad areas, they get towed, quite often they experience crime. And these are people who are fresh out of their homes, who are just trying to get back on their feet. They're trying not to be outright homeless. And on average, if they can be helped while they're half homeless, they can go from on their feet to half homeless to back on their feet in about 9 months. Whereas on average, if they become outright homeless, that process takes over 2 years.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Jessop. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I couldn't help but notice that you just gave that young man some money. Why did you do that?
Because I believe he's, young, he putting himself out for a cause he believes in, and I believe there's a need for people who have, fall between the cracks. So I think it's a good program.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, if you will, the feelings of desperation, frustration, anger, and just plain and absolutely total depression that mother must have felt after the system here in the United States failed her. Imagine how disappointed and how low she must have felt just before she shot her 2 children and then herself. I have been told that $1.9 billion have been set aside for the homeless. But what about the half homeless? For these people, they must perfect the technique of hiding just to survive. Due to the combination of the job and housing crisis, thousands of Americans are losing their homes and becoming half homeless every day. There's a huge need to help this rapidly growing, hidden, stigmatized, harassed, and extremely underserved segment of the United States homeless population by providing a safe place to park and an opportunity to get back on their feet.